There it goes. Hey everybody, happy Friday. It's so funny. We've been laughing this whole time. Poor Charnel. This is the TED Show, episode 17, if you can believe it, yes, Melody.
Yes.
And my guest is the beautiful Melody Garcia. We have been trying to figure out the lighting. Apparently she brought a whole bunch of angels with her, and I am very glowy right now. I'm not sure why. And I see you all coming up, and I definitely want to take a minute and try to find you, so bear with me.
So this is welcome to the Ted and Mel Show at this point.
Yes, it's totally the Ted and Mel Show.
Unscripted. He's been trying to work with me for the whole week going, what should we talk about?
Everybody knows this is unscripted because we have $2 for scripts. No, and that's and then $4 for wine if we're lucky. All right, so I see you guys up. Thanks for joining. Hey Corey, how you doing, buddy? So it's working. So this part's working. Right. Thank you, Charnel, by the way, who spent the last 10 minutes trying to, what do they call it? Blocking? You're the one that knows all this, the theater stuff. So Melody is, I don't even know where to start with you. Melody and I became friends. We had a great conversation one time at the Citrus Club.
Yes, we did. And we were
it was actually in this corner.
By, Terry Siciliano.
Yes, Terry Siciliano. We love her. She's amazing. And we had this great conversation, and then you became involved with UNICEF.
I did.
And then it all went from there, and I had no idea what your background was. I had no idea how famous you were. And we've got a famous person sitting in this chair right now. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Oh, Adrian Paris said, I'm your biggest fan, Melody.
Adrian, I love you. I miss you.
Isn't he amazing?
Show up. And he's been growing.
Show up, and you're doing amazing things, Adrian. So let's talk a little bit about your background. Because your background's awesome. I mean, I like to throw things out there like M. Butterfly. I'm going to say it right today. I didn't yesterday. Miss Saigon.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about where you come from and how you got to Broadway or got to plays and things like that.
So it's been a very interesting life journey. I came to this country when I was a little girl, completely unexpected. It's one of those insane political situation where my family's life and my life was threatened. So my parents had to do what they had to do, and next thing you know, I landed in Virginia.
So from the Philippines, right? To Virginia.
To Virginia, and literally lived with relatives, and we had to forget everything that we had and start from absolutely nothing coming to this country.
There's so many amazing refugees, basically what you were.
Right, so
stories.
It's a little bit more of a refugee, but it was really, this was at the height of some crazy political things with Marcos regime and everything going on, and fast forward, it gave me definitely a different platform for compassion and humility, because there's a difference between living through it and actually just being a part of it, but through donation.
Understood.
To donation.
I agree.
So fast forward, I've always been one that defies the rules or the boxes.
I don't think you have any rules or boxes, which is so endearing.
Thinker.
You are a creative.
I am a creative thinker.
A thought leader, I think, is what.
Thought leader, influencer. I've been given a lot of quote unquote titles, and to me, at the end of the day, I'm really just doing my best to be as authentic as possible. And so fast forward, you got the life journey, traveled all over the place, and brings me to present time. You were asking about One Night, One Voice.
Yes, so let's talk about One Night, One Voice. I mean, we have so much to talk about.
Right.
I really do want to hear all of your journey, but I know we only have 25 minutes.
Right, so quick hit on One Night, One Voice. That was actually the title of what was an event that I put together that has now taken a life of its own, that has now formed an LLC. But 2013, the Philippines was hit with the biggest storm, hurricane of the century. I can definitely relate to what's happening in Houston right now.
It's devastating.
The complete devastation. But what really moved me was a story of this one woman that they showed on Streamline, online, Philippine News, that lost her 3 children, and she was holding their bodies.
Oh.
Okay, as a mom, that literally destroyed me, because you see the devastation in the background, and then you have a mom who couldn't even bury her children because of everything that was happening. And that moved me into action. Literally, instead of me just donating, I decided I wanted to do something much bigger. And, I'm a believer, and he knows this. I talk about faith walk. It was literally one prayer that dished out that says, help me help them, activate all the gifts you've given me to help me reach them. What started as a small-scale idea becomes a full-blown 650-seater attended concert in 3 weeks, with not, you talk about your $2.99 budget.
Yeah.
I started with absolutely zero, not knowing where the funds are going to come from, and just literally just going to it. And that became the key turning point in my life, was when I realized I can do this. One person can make such a difference.
Absolutely.
And you know what? The community responds with heart.
They do.
And that's exactly what happened. PepsiCo stepped up for sponsorship. Global activation. I was in touch with Dubai, Switzerland, Philippines. I mean, this thing takes a life of its own. And the impact, ready for this?
Tell me.
20,000 lives, 20,000 children are fed because of direct efforts of One Night, One Voice. And Sustainability Gardens, which to this very day, one village named it after me.
Awesome.
That's basically, you know, I sit back and I'm like, how do you even put this on a resume?
Well, how do you? And tell us about what One Night, One Voice is.
So One Night, One Voice was the title of the concert.
That was a concert.
It was a concert. And it has now grown into different platforms where media's pulled into it, coaching's pulled into it, mentorship is pulled into it.
Amazing.
And visibility and networking, it has become this conglomerate of different micro companies that has, you know, I'm still at this very day trying to really identify what it is, because it has so many various, what do you call this, intercorporations that's hard to define. But it became associated with my name as basically what.
And so how do you, so you said earlier, one person did it. You were the catalyst, at least.
I was the catalyst.
Something motivated you, a tragedy motivated you, you wanted to do something. So when we're all out here trying to figure out how to help Houston and help the communities and the people, and a lot of us feel powerless. We can all text to the Red Cross, which is definitely something. It's better than not doing anything at all, but a lot of people want to get their hands dirty. They want to figure out how to be a little more impactful. How do you, what can people do? What can one person do? A lot of times people shy away from it because they think I'm only one person. But that's not what you did.
No, one person that changed over 20,000 lives, literally instantaneously. You know, and what can you do? You know, the power of social media is something that I use. And you know what, I'm going to be very honest here. You know, we see a lot of great pictures. What am I eating today? What am I shopping for today? And at the very bottom line, it's great for you, but does it really add value to those that are viewing your feeds?
Correct.
Does it? And so, you know, let's step out a little bit. I'm talking about branding, because your social media is your brand platform.
I agree.
You do not need to have a public figure page or a business page. When people follow you, when people first initially connect with you, it's because of the personalized heart-to-heart connection. Whether it's here, you know, having wine with Ted on a Friday afternoon.
It's not fake wine, people.
Yes. Or a social media platform, right? So what can you do for Houston? Get in touch with somebody on the ground. You know, post there. You know, I truly want to make an impact for Houston. Within our UNICEF team, we are moving collaboratively within the team that even has nothing to do with UNICEF.
Correct.
For example, you know, we have a private group page. We chat. We keep each other updated.
We chat a lot.
A lot. Through 3 in the morning.
And a lot of people don't know what UNICEF... So I remember it as a child. So let's back up just a little bit. As a kid, and you're way younger than me, so you might not remember this, but as a kid, we used to trick or treat on Halloween with it, and we brought a little can with us where people could put money in, and that's how I grew up knowing about UNICEF. But then all of a sudden, you brought it back to Orlando, and it has such a broader impact and scope now. So talk to them a little bit about UNICEF.
So UNICEF was a dream bucket list for me. Same thing, you know, I wanted to make a global impact in a simultaneous scale, but at the same time, I just didn't want to be a typical participant that donated or, you know, kind of just raised my voice. So UNICEF helps global advocacy for children. We're talking human trafficking, children's sex trafficking, children prevention of early marriages. You're talking about 9 and 10-year-olds being literally sold to adults, being married off, you know, famine, you name it. In my journey, I've always thought of things in a very global scale. It was never just community or just singularly. It's how does my existence help the rest of the world?
Right.
So UNICEF comes into play with me picking up the telephone, calling headquarters, finding there's a Miami Congressional Action Team. It's an advocacy team, right, that represents different causes for UNICEF. And the one question I had is, how do I get one started in Orlando?
I love that.
You know,
awesome.
There's this why question that a lot of people ask, and I usually go the opposite. Why not?
Love it.
Why not me? Why not them? Why not form a group of formidable leaders? Because I know a lot of them in Orlando that has the same passion and tenacity, if not more than me, to make a difference in the lives of others. So I used that leverage with UNICEF, and I said, they told me, Melody, start very small. Start with a team of maybe 3 people. Knowing my background in sales and leadership, you never start small.
No, all the people we have on the team are amazing too.
So through the power of networking, the one thing with networking is you also use that as a leverage. There's a lot of, I'm going to give you some tips here on how you can grow, because that was part
I
of
love that. Yes, I want you
right?
to.
The power of networking, a lot of people through this networking tend to collect what I call business cards that can be used as wallpapers. Let's be honest. Right? How many of us comes home with like this much stack? You were talking about this with Nick yesterday.
You bring all these business cards home, and then you do nothing with them, and then you feel like you're networking. You're a failure, and it's a bad juju, for lack of a better word.
It is.
It's bad for your thought process, who you are. So go ahead. Yes, tell us how to do that better.
Because of a mentor that I have, taught me the quality of your questions. Will determine. So a typical networker would do this.
We might be in trouble here.
Right? No, it won't be. Those are great tips, because a lot of people ask me, like, how did you just platform in a year? How did you start earning all this international awards? Who the heck are you, and where did you come from?
Correct. No, I think that's a valid point.
Where did you come from? And this is all about the growth. So a typical networker would do this. Hi, my name is Melody. What do you do?
Yes, and that's when I run screaming to the bar. It's true.
But how do you change your question? How do you change your question, Ted?
I usually ask them about themselves.
Okay.
I ask what their passion is, why they're here. I hardly ever talk about business on that first discussion, ever. And once I get to know them, yes, but if I don't get to know the person, I don't feel comfortable doing business with them, and I don't think that they would feel comfortable doing business with me. So I'm a little more evolved on the networking than most, yes. But I know those people. They come up and immediately all they do is start talking about what services they have, and can you come to this meeting, can I do a presentation? And that's about the worst thing you could ever do in networking.
And actually, here's the question that rooted me. It actually happened here at the Citrus Club.
Uh-oh. Very
first question I was asked by this gentleman was, tell me about your deepest pain. And I went, where did we just go with that?
Wow, that's a leap.
I was like, wow, that's really personal, and no, I'm not about to talk about that. But before I could even finish that...
I don't even want to know who that was. Well, maybe I do.
No. But then there was a quick follow-up question of, how has that served as a catalyst to your purpose? And how has it helped serve others?
Wow.
Did you catch that?
So that is a very deep question to talk about at networking.
But it was the risk that person took.
I agree with you. I was just going to say, yes. So sometimes it's that risk you take, because we were actually, Jezebel was here with me earlier, yes. And she's on our UNICEF team, and she's Mrs. Latin...
Mundo Latina.
Oh my God, amazing, which I'd forgotten about. Yes. And we were talking about how once you take the risk, it allows people to open up to you, and so they feel like if you're going to be vulnerable, I can try to be a little more vulnerable with you, right. And that helps open people up tremendously.
Absolutely, and here's one of the quotes. So before I go into that, let me just finish up with UNICEF. So UNICEF was formed in Orlando, making us the 14th congressional advocacy team in the entire United States. And underneath that UNICEF wing are formidable leaders. We're talking about Ted Bogert. He's kind of like my networking king and sends people our way, right?
I do.
We have Pernell Bush. We have
Pernell.
Tatiana Sidorova. I have Lauren Ziegler, who just won Mrs. United States. I mean, we have about 12 of us, all the different platforms, all the different expertise. So we can talk about any topic on advocacy. Jan Edwards of Paving the Way.
Yes.
You know, an advocate and an expert in human trafficking. If I need human trafficking data or topics,
should go to her.
Jan is the one that I sent. You know, in fact, she was meeting along with Dr. Sanjaya at Senator Rubio's office the other day. That's part of our UNICEF.
Amazing.
You know, we are moving. By April, we were at Capitol Hill. We were actually the team, you know, part of the team, and I traveled to Washington, D.C. We were in offices of senators and Congress. That was done by Orlando UNICEF in 7 months.
I mean, the impact is huge, and what's great about UNICEF, what's great about our chapter is Melody's really taken it. Is it called? No, our team. I'm sorry. Melody has really motivated us to be incredibly active with it. Florida is number 3 in the country behind California and New York for the most human traffic victims, and Orlando is in the top there for sure. And you just don't think about it, and because we live in Mickey Mouse Universal World, we don't think about how much traffic goes through here. And so to have a team here was very forward thinking of you. And so UNICEF, which I didn't know until we came on board, that was one of their things that they got behind and tried to stop.
So I get a lot of questions is, how in the world did you get involved with UNICEF? It's simple, just like how you basically take action.
Correct.
You take action, massive action. As I was alluding to earlier, I never ever think on a small scale, and that's a great opportunity and a challenge and a blessing simultaneously.
Correct.
So what's the next step after taking action, especially if you're forming something so that it could be life-changing, or forming a new business, or forming a new partnership, whatever it is, whether it's entrepreneurship or corporate, because I dance both worlds, is you always make sure that the people that is with you, with your team, mimics the same success.
That's a great point. Say that again.
So the people that is in your team, right, mimics the same success.
Yes.
Has the same passion, has the same fire. We all know that one team member could literally detrimentally hold back a team's potential, and you have to cut those losses. You know, you love them from a distance,
right?
But you have a bigger purpose, you know, in life, and you know, one of the things that Ted knows me for, I don't say much about me. I talk about a lot of other people.
Sure.
You have 2 ears, 1 mouth is my other.
Agreed. I like that.
My other platform, but I never stop growing. I never stop learning. You know, as much as we're smiling here, the truth of the matter is this: there are problems that exist within our life.
Agreed.
We are not immune to that.
No.
And one of the strategies I've developed in my life is I get in front of the issues. You know, before it gets bad, before it gets worse, is I will go there.
You don't let it fester.
No, I don't let it fester. I will address the people that I need to and make my position very clear and my beliefs very clear. But, you know, you talked about authenticity and the ability to open up from just that one question.
Right.
You know, and the reason why I have notes here I'm going to share with you guys is this. One of the, you know, Ted and I are both, we're night owls.
Oh, God, yeah. How many of you have gotten a text from me at 3 in the morning? Sorry.
3 in the morning. But sometimes, you know, that's my quiet time where I start actually watching videos and just learning and growing and growing. And one of the quotes that I resonated with, that was actually sent to me by a good friend, you know, via Messenger, is this: "It's not from my brilliance that I stand up to inspire others. It's because I have fallen and I have gotten up that I have earned the right to stand on stage and inspire others."
I love that. That's awesome.
You know, and that really hit me because that is my platform. I'm not going to claim to be the best speaker out in the world, regardless of what accolades that are out there saying that I am, right? It's because I can authentically relate to people's pain because I have been there. I can authentically relate to your journey of struggle because you know what? I have been there.
But you put it, so that's, again, what we were talking about earlier. You're putting it out there and you have a vulnerability. And so if you make yourself vulnerable, if you take that risk, people almost automatically have no other choice but to respond. The wall is down, and you've helped them put that wall down, because otherwise, if all you had was that basic handshake conversation, you didn't have anything with, or didn't share anything with them, immediately people go, oh, they're going to judge me if I say this, or if I feel this.
And that's why you get in front of issues ahead of
Agreed.
time. You know, be transparent. And transparency, in fact, I have this is coming from a place where I'm human, you're human, that there's nothing to hide, nothing to protect, nothing to prove, and nothing to defend.
I like it.
You know, again, let me repeat that. You know, my 4 points, which again resonated with the message I just listened to a few nights ago, is I have nothing to hide, nothing to protect, nothing to prove to anybody, and there's really nothing to defend. And when you come from that platform, you grow your business, you grow your relationships,
right.
You solidify, because everybody has a life story.
Correct.
Everybody has that. And a lot of people are so mummed about it because they think that it will put off. Now, with that, I also have to say, for coaches that are out there, for speakers that are out there, you know, you have to be methodical in delivering my let's say, background story, like your background story, because nobody's going to buy from you or endorse you if you come across like you have more problems than they do.
Well, no, I agree with that. So there is this competition thing where my life's worse than yours.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be my life's better than yours.
Right.
It's really about being authentic, like you said, and sharing with people the truth of what's going on.
The truth.
But you're not in a competition, good or bad, with anybody.
Right.
And I think if you come across that way, if you come across like, oh, I know that you are, I don't know, stage 4 cancer and have lost 10 of your family members. Well, I'm stage 5 cancer and I've lost 11 of my family members. There are people out there that do that, and I think that immediately makes you feel, makes you come across disingenuous.
Right.
Just as the flip side, oh, I know you're stage 4 cancer, but God, I work out all the time. You should work out. It's not the answer. That's not what people want. They want to feel a connection. And so if you humanize yourself and actually tell your basic story, the truth of it, I think people engage with that much more easily.
Right. So one of the things that I do is I write for an international magazine. You know, I've been very successful at it. I have my own column called Life Journeys, and it's stories of breakdown to breakthroughs. Because I got very curious, is it just me? You know, what is that pain that drove you to then have that change?
Right.
Tell me about the steps, and in doing so in media relations, let me share your story with the world. Let me help inspire others because of your journey. And in doing so, guess what happened to me? I grew from listening to their stories.
Right.
You know, I connected with humanity in a whole different level, because guess what? We are all not so unique in our pain after all.
We're not.
We're not. And it's about, you know, the focus of transparency. And, you know, here's something that I carry with me, is this.
What's it say?
There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy, but it's not so much as that. I carry a journal as much as I can, because in moments of genuineness, in moments of clarity, in moments of brilliance, you know, you could be saying something and I'm grabbing a pen and writing it down.
Right.
You know, I have tons of this at home. I find it inspiring. When there's days that are tough, I just flip a note. When you have the writer's block, I look at my notes. When people are, you know, because I am not the subject matter expert of any one topic.
Correct.
I'm not pretending to be the expert of life. Life happened, and I knew how I reacted and reflected and grew and learned and shared from it.
Right.
So I keep, you know, this is not a Dear Diary. These are actually from other people.
But you journal. Journaling and meditating is
journal and meditating, which Isabel can talk about. And I know we have 5 minutes. But
don't feel pressured. We're fine.
But on top of that, right? And so we're having a really good stories here. Is when I use, going back to social media, when I connect with people, and I'm very careful who I allow within just my, you know, I have one page. I don't have a public page.
Correct.
Who I allow in that circle. Because within that circle is also an element of trust.
Absolutely.
An element of trust. You know, I could easily have filled 5,000 maximum pages by now.
Right.
I don't. I allow people to kind of scream, follow me.
Right. No, the following's good.
The following is good, but you know, there's also those are others that uses your connections to try to connect with them, but they use you in the process.
Yes.
And it's all about social media etiquette. And you know, I've learned to control that environment, because it took me sometimes build those trust with specific people,
yes.
right? And they're very exclusive within their group. And unfortunately, there were some lessons to be learned when other people have name dropped me. They're like, we're great friends with Melody.
Been there. I get it.
So we have to be careful on social media etiquette as well. But honestly, the other day I found myself in a very unique situation, and I actually said to myself, who would have thought 1 year later? And I shared this with Ted. I was torn between meeting with a representative of a senator's office for global advocacy that was critical, or learning from one of the top world's wealth coach builder, JT Fox.
Right.
I was like, wow, what a dilemma.
You went to JT Fox.
Right. And he commands $1.5 to $2 million per 90-minute presentation.
Right.
And to me, I had to invest my time there. Why? Because in order for me to globally mobilize, I need to find out what this man did.
And so
a
great point about that. So no guilt there, because you had to make a choice. And I think a lot of people feel, oh my God, I have a choice between this and that. And sometimes you need to step back and say, okay, what is going to help me in the long run?
Long term.
And who else can handle some of the responsibilities I'm constantly putting on myself?
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
where you were at. So other people could step in and do that for you because you trusted them and had a good circle. So you had to do this for you, which inevitably will be spread out and touch many, many, many people.
And great points. And here I am also, this is the reason why you build a strong team. So you can empower them to step into leadership and meet with all these people without me having to carry the main responsibility of having to face, the nation's leaders. We're talking senators here.
Right.
So I was on my drive and I had the team set. They did a pre-meet. They met with Rubio's office. There's an invitation to Washington, D.C. to have a face-to-face. I mean, this team moves. And I'm so proud of them. So proud of them because I didn't need to be there.
Right.
And they carry the assignment, flawlessly. And now they have an invitation to meet, with Rubio and Capitol Hill.
So because you empowered the team, you were able to accomplish two things instead of just one.
So,
and really it's more than two, but
strengths.
there's two events you had to choose from, but you were able to be impactful at both of them because of the empowerment that you gave and the trust and building up that team. And I think a lot of us, we're like, oh God, I have to do one or the other, or we have this big say yes to everything and then we don't do any of it well because we say yes to too many things. Or on the opposite side, we say no to everything and then we don't get out there in the community at all and talk about anything. So I think you have a great balance, which that's the one thing I want to talk about real quick because I know we're at 128. People, a lot of comments I get about the show are that, Ted, you're bringing on all these people who are experts at things. And what I want to tell you is that all of us are in progress. We are a work in progress. And it isn't that we're experts, it's just that we're willing to talk about the negatives and the positives and the journey. And I think that just because Melody has made it in a certain way in certain parts of her life, she's had to struggle to get there and she's had to work at it to get there. So don't look at these interviews as if, oh my God, I'm never going to be that evolved. You've seen me, right? I am not evolved at all, but I'm a work in progress and I continue to allow myself to make the mistakes, to feel the mistakes and try to do better based on those mistakes. And that's the same of all of our journeys. So I don't want anybody to ever leave here feeling like, oh my God, I could never be on the show or I could never talk about my story because I'm still a failure. You're not a failure. The fact that you know that you have things to deal with, that's what we have to deal with all the time. And that's so powerful and critical. So be good to yourself, I guess is my...
And you know what? Lead yourself and others will follow in a leadership style. It's your message to the world. Who are you at the end of the day? Right. If I was to strip you of your wealth, of your power, of your name, of your influence, who are you?
Right.
And when you connect at that level that says, I started from the bottom, I started with absolutely nothing, and show them how they can actually grow from that, and that influence is very big. I know circle of five, but actually my mentors are like 20 times more than I am.
Correct.
And the reason why is because I want to learn how they got there.
That's right.
Right at the end of the day.
Yes, we're ready. So Charnel is here. So Melody, real quick, tell them an email address and or a website.
onenightonevoice@gmail.com or melodygarcia.com. And remember, Friday Cheer.
Oh yes, Friday
Always.
Cheers and hashtag Wine Helps.
Wine Helps.
Love you. Thank you, Charnel. Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.